Well, so you just jumped on the engine deck and just rode back?
Yeah, we had guys all over. We had guys up front. We had guys on top of the turret. We had guys everywhere, so it was pretty...
Oh, kind of like Band of Brothers.
Yeah. It was, you know, looking back, like, we could have gotten in a lot of trouble for that, but no one was around.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything else you want to add before we start discussing the ground war, or the days before the ground war? I know this is four or so years ago, so I mean.
Yeah, it's 4 years ago, and it was only like a two month period of time. So yeah, there's not much that I can remember other than that. Yeah, Roshak got promoted right after Lance Corporal Roshak. Well, he was at the time. He was a PFC, Private First Class, when we got there. So he and I got into the Marine Corps about the same time, and he got promoted right after we got there because he had done. He had convinced other people to join the Marine Corps. So he came in as a PFC, where I came in as a private, and so he picked up Lance Corporal faster than me. So I was kind of butthurt about that because, you know, I was the last PFC in the platoon, and it was down to me and Lance Corporal Whaley doing all the working parties. So anytime they're like, "Hey, we need 2 bodies for this," I always just got up because I knew it was going to be me and then and Whaley. Whaley was a senior Marine, but he had gotten NJP, non-judicial punishment. He had gotten that like 7 times, and which is extremely out of the ordinary. So he was kind of like the poster child for the shitbag. But
so you being the most junior Marine,
yeah,
you were getting slim with all the work.
Yeah,
and then this.
You know, I wasn't the only one doing the working parties, but like most of the time it was, you know, Bellmont, get up, you know, you're going. So it's like that sucked. I remember that. But.
Okay. What do you remember? When did you first get the word that y'all were actually invading Iraq? I assume at the time it was still up in the air if y'all were going to go back to Kuwait.
Like every day we were like, God, are we going to do this? You know, like, and we were motivated. We wanted to go. You know, like at the time, like we wanted to go. That's what Marines do. You know, they fight. So we wanted to go across the border, and you know, there was rumors going around like. Yeah, we're just gonna end up sitting here. Like people were making, you know, just normal bets with each other. Like, yeah, I bet we'll just sit here for 90 days and go home, or you know, at least 90 days was what they wanted to, because then it counted that as a deployment. And there was guys betting like, oh, we'll cross the border in a few weeks. But we were out on a training mission, and all I remember about the area that we went to is we hiked to the place where we were going to train, and it was like an old comm site of some sort. They had a couple of radio towers, or big satellite type dishes, and they were pretty destroyed from the Gulf War. And
the Gulf War back in 1991.
Correct.
Okay.
And so we got out there, and by the time we got there, it was getting dark. So they were going to bed down. You know, we were going to bed down for the night, and we were going to do simulations training the next day with little the fake rounds.
Oh, like little paintball.
Yeah, like little paintball rounds. And that night, I remember Lightfoot. He was a Lance Corporal. Lance Corporal Lightfoot was on radio watch, and he was a buddy of mine. It's funny. The first thing I remember about that kid is he asked me where I was from. I said Minnesota, and he's like, "Oh yeah, what state is that in?" And that's one thing I'll never forget about him. It's the first thing he said to me. So, anyways, he came up to me, and he was a buddy of mine, and he's like, "Well, you may as well start packing up your stuff." And it was like 3 in the morning or something like that, and I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because we just got the word we're gonna LD tomorrow, or line of departure. We're gonna cross it. You know, we call it, you know, LDing. You know, basically, because we're gonna cross the border." And
so LD is just line of departure.
Okay. Yeah. We just shorten it up and make LD. You know, cross the border. He said we're gonna LD pretty soon, so they're gonna the tracks are on their way to come pick us up. You know, the Amtrak's are going to come pick the AAVs.
So this was at night, huh? You said you were bedded down, so.
Yeah, we were sleeping, and he ended up waking me up. He's like, well, they're going to come give us the news any second. So like, no kidding, like, wasn't much after that. We had the company got together. It was just at sunrise, I believe, when the company, so they let us sleep for a little bit, and then the CEO got us all together and gave us a little motivational speech saying that we're out here and stuff. And some of the guys were mad because like our feet hurt because we just got done with the hike. We're like, you know, kind of battle condition are we in? Our feet are all tore up. We got to go across the border and, you know, fight tomorrow or whenever it was going to be. And, I think that was like March 19th was I think the date that we were there and ended up getting called out. And then a couple days after that, like maybe two or 3 days after that was when we actually crossed the border.
Okay. Well, what y'all doing that time before actually crossing the border? Was there any more preparations, or you just jumped in the tracks and y'all just went straight for the border?
Well, I remember them saying that. Well, I remember General Mattis coming down and talking to us, having a big motivational speech.
General Mattis, he was the what commander? He was divisional commander at that time?
I think so. Like at the time, I was just, you know, the private first class, don't know much. Didn't know much about my chain of command as I should have.
Yeah, but I believe he was 1st Marine Division commander at that time.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
He came down and you know, talked to us. There's thousands. I want to say it was like upwards of 7,000 Marines, like all around him, and they had.
This was just out in the middle of the desert.
It was right in the middle of the LSA. The LSA was like 500 meters between like one half. It was like split in half. Like half the tents were over here, half the tents were here, and then in the middle, in that area there, they had a couple of tanks set up with big loudspeakers on it, and he had a microphone and he was talking to us, and it was pretty cool. As he was talking to us, it was like someone was on comm in the background, you know, calling the birds in whenever he'd say keywords. Like he's like, all right, when we go, we're gonna have so many units of Cobras with us, and then all of a sudden a couple of Cobras would do a real low flyby over the formation, and then
Cobra, that's
the helicopter.
It's a TAC helicopter.
Yep. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then he's like, we're gonna have so many squadrons of F-18s supporting us, and then these F-18s come out of nowhere and just do a real low flyby, and it was really loud, and it like everyone was cheering. It was pretty cool, really motivating. And then after that, I want to say we started to, like, everyone cleaned out all the garbage, because after 2 months of living in these tents, we had accumulated some junk. So, you know, I remember stuff getting burnt, and we packed up our sea bags. Like I took every pair of socks I had with me. They came with a packing list. They're like, hey, just bring like, you know, half a dozen pair of socks, and then, you know, whatever. This is what you're gonna bring in your pack, and then your sea bag we'll get some other time. We didn't know when. So we ended up having to pack up our sea bags into Connex boxes that were on the back of trucks, and then we got in tracks and started pushing towards the border.
Okay. When you got to the border, I mean, what were the conditions there? I mean, did y'all just sit there for a day or two, or you just like crossed just the LD?
We ended up waiting in a like a forward staging area, I guess, waiting for the air war to finish. They wanted to, I guess, soften them up with air was going to go in, and they were going to do their thing, and then like as far as we knew, like. There wasn't even going to be much left by the time we got there after they're done hitting them with air. So we ended up we were pushing a big battalion 360, and then that's where we kind of waited for a day or two.
Okay. So what were you just did you already take fighting positions?